Hey, we're live. Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? Did I? Did I tell you? My son says I did not. But you are. You're so lucky. We're going to read about it tonight. When I was quite young, and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. Just a picture of the desert. Lots of cactuses that looks like jays. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are sad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, oh, ever so much more, oh, muchly, much more unlucky than you. He's sitting on top of a cactus. That looks painful.
But he doesn't care.
Be glad you don't work on the Bungelberg Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful a whole heap and lot for the places and people. You're lucky you're not. All these people having bad luck days. Oh my goodness. Looks terribly dangerous. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught in that traffic on Zate Highway 8. Well, that does look like bad traffic. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazette with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Oh no, is this the bedroom on one side and the bathroom on the other? That seems like a terribly dangerous walk in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. You get up and you have to go potty and it's like, oh no, I gotta walk down the street for a while. And then up a bunch of stairs and down a bunch of stairs. I would not appreciate this walk, no. Just suppose you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdebulator apart. He will never get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the goor fits into the scrux or the snux or the snoot. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who's taken his thromdebulator apart. I don't know what a thromdebulator does, but it ain't going to do it no more because it's broken. We took it apart. You can't take things apart. Think they worked you too hard? Think of poor Allie Sard, who has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard. It's a quick-growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all this stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the piffulous pay of 2 duklas a day, and Allie can't live on such piffulous pay. So, look at all that grass. It's a lot of grass. It's bigger than my yard, and I get annoyed mowing my yard. So he has to paint flagpoles on Sundays and grooves. How lucky you are you don't live in his shoes. Look at those flagpoles. That's dangerous. That's dangerous work. Painting the flagpoles. Gonna fall to his death. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has his borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right, but his borfin just seems to go slump every night. It slumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unslump it, and then the night air comes back and it slumps once again. So don't you feel blue, don't you get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin that slumps. I'm not sure what a borfin does, but it's not doing it in that slumpy state, apparently. His borfin is failing every night. Without failing. And while we are at it, consider the schlots, the crumplehorn, web-footed, green-bearded schlots, whose tail is entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. Goodness, those are some crazy knots in that schlotz's tail. Look at that. Here's the slots. But look at them knotty tails. Look at them tail knots. Ooh.
Can I see? I can't tell what's worse, that or whatever you have
Ooh, headphone knots are bad too. I remember the time my middle child got little plastic balls stuck in her hair, and we had to cut her hair because they were so tangled. That was a mess. It was bad. She was very upset because she had never had a haircut before that. She was like 6 or 7, and she'd never had a haircut, and I had to cut off like half her hair, and she was like crying. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whamble. A whamble, you know, is a sort of a saddle, but held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old whamble faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, Ducky, you're gone like a goose. None of these people have a faulty whamble faddle, thankfully. If they did, it'd be problematic. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter, he has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in the INT factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, he looks like he's doing a splendid job, though. The T's and the I's are all dotted and crossed. I think I'd mix it up and sometimes cross a dot and dot across, and it'd be bad. People were very upset that all their I's were dotted, all their I's were crossed and their T's were dotted. I would get fired from that job, is all I'm saying. Oh, the jobs people work at out west near Hotch Hotch. There's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, the bee didn't work any harder, not much. So then somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotch Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Wow. See, he's watching that bee, but the bee ain't working harder. So they got to watch him watch the bee because they think he's doing an inefficient job. The bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch Hotcher has to come in as a watcher. And today all the Hotchers who live in Hotch Hotch are watching on watching. Watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a Hotch watcher. You're lucky, you see? It's just a whole line of people watching the people that are 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 watching the bee. That's craziness. And how fortunate you're not a Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. I don't know why it matters the ducks are Irish, but they're green, so maybe that's why they're Irish. And they're trying to read this crazy made-up language. And some of the stuff in that language, some of the characters in that language look like ducks. I don't know. And think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Puboken. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. They're unicycling downstairs, which seems dangerous. They're unicycling while playing horns, riding the unicycles downstairs. Is a recipe for disaster. And then they got to unicycle up some stairs, and I'm not even sure how that works. I don't know how you unicycle upstairs. You got to like hop the cycle. I don't know. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hatto. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his giz. And I think that, by golly, there probably is. Okay, all these people making shadows in the light, and then there's this guy right here. Little dude, no shadow. I think someone stole his shadow. It's a whole Peter Pan situation. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, Ducky, some people are muchly, oh, ever so much more unlucky than you. Oh, no. These people have hair, and their hair connects to the beard of the gentleman behind them, whose hair connects to the gentleman behind him, whose hair connects to the beard of the gentleman behind him. And basically, no one can ever cut their hair, or they'll cut off their brother's beard. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe they should shave. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? There's a bare butt on this page. Right there. From the right up to the camera. There's a bare butt in a Dr. Seuss book. This video going to get banned on YouTube for having nudity. And my kids are fascinated by the butt.
I don't even see it, and I think that's good.
It's right there. It's a butt. That's a butt. Am I wrong?
No.
No, that's a butt.
Button.
No, it's not a button. It's a butt. And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. I don't know what's wrong with the 17th radish. I mean, there is one getting eaten by a worm. Maybe that's 17th. I didn't count. But, I mean, the fate of all radishes is to be eaten, so I don't know why it matters if it's by a worm or... And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. I don't know, this guy seems pretty okay. He's got a pool. He's chilling by himself. He's got all the alone time he wants. Nobody bothering him. No kids driving him nuts trying to find Dr. Seuss butts. I think he's got it together.
Okay, he's just wearing it.
He's wearing a bathing suit. He's not showing off a And you're so lucky you're not a left sock left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Look, there's one singular sock down here in the corner. And a cat's about to get it and take it home. I don't know why. Why do you don't have to come running over. Thank goodness for all of the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. You ever see like a wire like this and there's like a single shoe hanging on it? I always wonder how that got there. Like, who threw their shoe up there? Where's the other shoe? Are there a lot of one-legged people running around that are like, I don't need this shoe. Won't fit on my pig leg. I mean, how many pirates are there in this city? That's why I say, Ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much, so muchly, much more unlucky than you. Now they're both sitting on cactuses.
Okay, it's not just be hurting.
But that is the end of Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? It's an interesting Dr. Seussy book. I appreciate y'all sticking around tonight. Tomorrow night, we're going to read another fun one. It's a beginner reader called Fox in Socks. We will be here, right here, 9 o'clock live on Facebook, and I hope you join us. Good night, everyone.